Okay, before starting the particle system, we can add a few elements we would be using in the particle flow, Let's first add those elements in the scene. Okay, for that we need to go to the space warp, and which is forces, and in it we'll select wind, and in the front viewport we just apply our wind. And let's make sure that it is in the right direction. So click P in your keyboard so we're in perspective mode, so that we don't have to move our camera again and again. So we highlight angle snap toggle, and we just move it to the right direction. We come to the modify, and we just strength to 0 and spherical, and we just change this to 0.04 and 0.3. And the next thing is we go back again, and we just again in the space warp, and we select drag. We introduce drag in our front scene, and we go to modify again, click this to 200, and we change this to 10, 10 and 10. So these are the two elements that we would be needing, and we come to the timeline here, click it, and end time has to be let's say around 300. Yeah, and click OK. And also we need to make our shaders, for the smoke, trails and the explosion. So you come here, we name this as smoke. We just click the face map here, and we go to opacity and click on it, and we'll add a mask to it. And in the map we click here, and we'll add a gradient to it. And we just come here and simply change this to 0.3, and we change this to 4, and also to radial. So if you double click on it, you'll see how it looks, like a smoke. Close that one. Then we go back to our mask parameters, click this button here, and we'll go to select particle age. We need to swap these colors here so that we can see the shader. So we just drag this one and put it on the black one. It'll ask us to swap it. You say swap, and so you can see our shader now. Now you go back to the main panel here, and we change this to 0, and we come back to maps here, and we change this to 15, so you can just roughly see it. We change the color here to, drag this one and put it on this one, and we call this one explosion. Right, and in the explosion we go to diffuse, and here we just change it to gradient ramp, and we change our ramp here to this to black color, this to a bit of orange, and this to yellow. Change this to fractal, and we change the noise amount to 0.5 and 0.4. So if you click on it, you'll see, looks like smoky kind of effect. The next thing that we do here is we go back to the main, we come down to the maps, and we drag and we just click self-illumination, and click on the color here, and we just make it a bit of red color. And since the opacity is 0, just turn down this opacity. Okay, increase this one to 100. So we got this color here, and change this color to a bit of orange. Okay, also we need to apply a map to our bullet here. So just change this to bullet, and we change these colors to, let's say, a bit of yellow. This to red color, and increase it here, Just apply it to bullet reference. So we've got all our elements added. So what we can do is we move on to the next step, which is our particle flow. Okay, we click on the create here. After that, then we click on geometry, and we open the panel here, and we get our particle system. Click here on the particle system. We can click on the PF source, and in the front viewport we just create our particle flow, and we bring it in the middle, and let's make the size a bit bigger of the logo size so that we can see, and turn off the icon. Don't need the icon because you can see that particles are being emitted. Now we go and click on the particle view. So we name this one, right click on it, and we just rename it to our bullet launch. Here we go to birth. Okay, we change this emit start at 10 and stop at around let's say 100. Want the emission to be stopped at 100, right? And the amount of bullets, how many bullets do you want to emit from the gun? For ideally, I would like to have many bullets being fired from the gun, but we need to keep it less because otherwise it puts a lot of stress on the system. But once you set up everything, then you can increase this and put it to render. Let's say 12 is fine for now. Okay, this is the first step done. And the next step, you go to position icon. We don't need this position icon, so we need this operator called position object. So this is the thing that I was talking about earlier. You remember the tubes that we created. So basically here we will add the tubes, of course the bullet racks. If you go to add by list, then you've got all the racks here, rack up to 10 racks here. Say all of this selected, and you say inherit the movement. You say OK. What is happening here now is we go to location. The location is select by faces, selected faces. The faces that we selected. So we'll emit the bullets, those faces that we selected. And move on to the next part, which is speed. We can always adjust the speed for now, but we'll just make 1500 because the bullets travel very fast. Variation, of course, a bit of variation is good as well, make it look natural. And the next step is rotation. But before rotation, we need to add shape instance. For that, we just go and add a shape instance here. Above the rotation, click the particle geometry object. So since we have our geometry, which is the bullet, that is what we will of course select. So we go to none and we select our bullet here. You can't see the shape right now because we've got another shape here, which is shape 01 tetra. So what we need to do is we just right click on it and we just delete it, so you can see your bullets. So we go to rotation and we change the bullets to, it's not random 3D, we just want it to follow speed space follow. Let's change this to 270 so that it's in the right direction. Let's click this one and we just hide it, right click on it and hide selection. So here you can see the bullets being fired. And if you click here and right click and hide selection, you'll see here, I just want to show you, the bullets being fired from the holes. So we can unhide by name again our gun. The rotation is done now. The next step is, of course, we will add our find target test. So basically the find target test here, it gives you the description here what it does. Basically it finds the target. So we just go and put it below our display. But before that, you need to add your targets. So we go back here in the front viewport and we go to geometry and we just add simple spheres, like somewhere here in the scene, a small spheres, and let's say they are far around here somewhere. And you can also animate them. So basically we are animating the targets, so that the bullets, they follow the target. So we just call this target 01 and we press shift on the keyboard and we just select the target and make another copy of the target. So in this way we've got like 2 targets. Let's make another copy, make the third one as well. And if you want to add another one, you can add another one. Let's go and see in the camera viewport if they can see. Yeah, the targets are there. Let's bring this one down. we need to go to render and change the settings here to, let's say, NTSC-D1. Okay, let's change our camera view a little bit so that we can see everything. Move it down, move this up. So this is our target. So we've got our targets here, and the next thing what we do is we go back to our particle system and particle view and highlight the find target, and we just go to the find target 01 panel here and says control by speed, that's fine, target point, okay, cruise speed to, let's say, 1000, because the bullets cruise at a very fast speed, so we'll do 1000 and just change this to 20. And the axle limit, we can change this to around 800, and we can always change these values, later. And the next thing that is, we go here to the target and we add our targets. We just click on the mesh objects, and by list we select all our targets. So you'll see that as soon as we select the target, the bullets will follow the targets, So right now the speed is too fast for the bullets. So what we do is we just select our targets and move them, further away from the bullets. Right, we go back to our particle view. We just click here, press P, so that we are in perspective mode and we can see what's happening with our bullets, how they're traveling. Okay, so you can see the bullets, traveling fast. So if you move one of this, away, you'll see the bullets, moving with the target. Right, and then follow the target animation. So click the follow the target animation, random. Okay, the next step is we'll add a spawn test, which is under the find target. Here I suggest that you turn off your bullet launch, because otherwise it will be very heavy, So just click on the bulb here, it turns it off. So we can work like this. So we click spawn 01 here, we go to by travel distance, and in steps we can change these steps to 3, distance between the particles. Spawnable 100, that's fine, and then we just come down here, change this to in units, that is 100, that's fine. Scale factor variation, okay, these all are fine now. And the next step is, what we do here is we'll add another event, which is for the smoke trails. For that we just go to an operator which is called force, and we just drag it here. In force we just click in the force, and by list we just select both of these, select all, and we got our drag and wind which we introduced earlier. Link our spawn by travel to this event here and rename it to smoke trails. I hope you are following me, because it's a bit complicated, but it's not that complicated. Once you go through it 2 or 3 times, you will exactly know what you're doing. Now we have added another event, which is smoke trails, So the spawn is basically, you can also click here and you can read the description that says spawn generates new particles from existing particles and sends them to the next event. So the next event is basically smoke trails now. So they're generating new particles, and at the same time they are sending it to the new event, which is smoke trails. So now if we click the bulb here, you'll realize that we've got our trail here, which is looking really cool. But we need to add a few more things here to the smoke trail, which is shape facing. So shape facing is here, shape facing, and we just drag and put it under force. And shape facing is basically, it creates shapes which are towards the camera. So for that you need to select the camera, so select none here, and in the viewport our camera is here selected, so camera is selected now. So in shape facing we go to in world space, and let's change this to 5. Okay, first you want to see the display. You go to display and change this to geometry so that you know how the shape facing works. So if you go to shape facing, you see the shape facing, and if you change this to 10, you see that how it affects the whole scene. So we just leave it to 5, and let's add a scale operator, so that we can scale it up. So scale is relative first, and we just scale it to, let's say, 150 probably. That's fine, and change this to 50, and sync in, change this to by particle age. So the system is getting heavier here. You can turn off the spawn here so that you don't see what's happening. If it's too heavy for your computer, you can turn it off from here. So the next step what we can add is material. Of course, we've got our smoke material, which we created earlier, this one, and we can add a material which is material dynamic. Since our smoke particles are moving, so we need material dynamic. We just click and we just drop it here, and we click in the assigned material. We click the none here, and we go to material editor, and we'll see our smoke material here. We just click on it, double click it, so it will be applied straight away. And there's not much here to do, so we move on to the next step, which is, of course, when the smoke is being, the trail is there for some time, and of course it starts to die. For that we will apply another operator which is called delete. We don't want this, of course, the smoke to be there forever. The smoke is like, the trail is there, and after some times, of course, it just dies. So we go to delete all, and we go by particle age. So now it depends, for how long you want the trails to linger there. So let's change this to 120, and change the variation to 8, so that after 120, they start dying. And let's see how it looks now. We just right click on it and turn on. So now it looks cool. You can see how the bullets are traveling towards the targets. And now let's move on to the next step, which is explosion. When our bullets reach the target, in contact with the target, they will explode, and at the same time they will die. So for that we will have to add another event. So let's turn off the spawn by travel so that we don't put too much pressure on our system. Test. Let's put it here, spawn test, and we just name it, right click it and rename it. We call this explosion. We click on the spawn 02, we go to spawn rate and amount, and it says once, of course, they are being created once, and then delete the parent. The parent will be deleted, which is the bullets, on contact with it. It will explode for once, and then it will be deleted. And spawnable 100, offspring to, this time we need more offsprings because we want more particles to be emitted, so we'll put 5 and see how it looks. And variation, of course, put a bit of variation there to make it look nice and natural. And come down to speed, inherited speed, we change this to 20 because the inherited speed is quite fast, so we just we want the explosion to be there, within the vicinity of the contact point. Otherwise we'll go far away, that we won't see the particles. We just change this to variation to 30 and divergence to 60. Okay, a few more things we need to add here. We need our force. Go to by list and drag. The next thing that is, again, the same thing. We'll apply shape facing because we want the shapes to, face towards the camera. Go here, click the button here, none, and just again select our camera. We can't see it right now because it's not applied, it's not linked. So what we do is we find target, click here and link it to this event here. Now if you see, the particles are being emitted on contact, the explosion. We go to display, and display we just select the geometry. Then we go to our material dynamic, and we just go here and go to none. Same way we go and locate our explosion material, double click on it, and the last thing that we need to apply here is delete. After some time the explosion needs to die. So delete all, and we just change to 60 and 10. We go to shape facing. We can't see the shapes, the explosion shapes. So for that we need to go to in world space and change this to, let's say, 100, so that we can see the shapes here. Change this to, let's say, more 300, so that there's a bigger explosion there on contact. If you render it, let's see how it looks. You can see the explosion there, and you can also put a bit of variation there. Align to speed follow. And this looks cool. Okay, and what else is here that we can change? Okay, for now that's fine. So let's turn on our spawn and press C on your keyboard so that we get our camera viewport. So now if you render this, you'll see how it looks. As you can see, the trail is a bit weak, we can't see it properly, so we need to increase the size of the trail. Click the particle system and go back to particle view, and let's go to the smoke trail. Here's our smoke trail, but let's increase the shape facing to 10. Okay, let's go to our shader and increase the opacity of shader a little bit, so that it's around 35 or something, so that we can see our smoke trails. So let's render and see how it looks. Okay, now we can see it properly. So we go back to particle view, and let's first turn off the particles, and let's animate the whole scene. Okay, we want our gun to basically revolve in speed, Okay, let's group few things here. Spheres needs to be grouped with the big gun here, and the middle part needs to be grouped as well. So we just group it and call gun elements, right? So basically all the gun elements are being grouped. So now we go and turn on the auto key here, and we go to the front viewport, and we select this. We select the rotate tool here, and we just select it, and we just rotate it, and let's say bring this to 10. As you can see, the tubes are not moving with the gun, but that's alright. What we can do is we can link them. Okay, what we can do here is we just go to the select by name, and we select our rack, the tubes which are till 10 here, select all of them, and then we just go and select the link. And you can see the tubes are being selected if you want to see it here, and then you can always bring it out and see, and we just click the link here and link it to the gun. So now you can see that they are moving. If you want to see them move, then they are moving. So you can always put them back in there. Our gun is revolving at speed, and then it stops. Let's animate our camera as well. So we want the camera, go to C here. For example, let's see that here. Make a quick motion here, and we just rotate our camera. So move these. So you can bring it closer, move up or down, You can always adjust the camera movement, the way you like it. This is the basic idea. So now if you go back to our particles and you just click the bulb here, and you'll see that bullets are being fired, and at the same time they are in motion with our gun as well. Most of the stuff here is done, if I'm not forgetting anything. Yes, one thing that needs to be done is, of course, the glow. So you go back to our particles and we just turn it off. We need to apply glow to our gun here. One more thing is just go to our gun map. We go to the maps here and we just copy paste it into the bump. And then this is basically these affairs, which will be glowing. So we click this one and we change this ID to 1 because we'll be applying glow to it. So we go to renders and effect and add lens effect. Go to glow here. We come down to glow elements and just change this to probably 5. And we just come here to options and turn on the material ID 1, so we will follow this ID here. Okay, we change the radial color here, this one to red and this one to orange. And now if you render, you'll see that we got our glow here. And also what we can do here is we need to right click on this and we just go to object properties. We need to turn on the motion blur. We go to object and click OK, and at the same time we go to our particle view. We need to turn on the motion blur for the bullet. We select this and right click and we go to properties, and again we turn on the objects. We turn on the motion blur by clicking on the object. Now if you render, you'll see we've got our blur on now. So another thing that we need to do here is we go to render effects, change this to 150 and change the size to 3 or something. And also if you want to see your bullets being fired, bring up the particle view and turn it on so that you can see the bullets. So here you can see the motion blur is applied to the bullets as well. So now let's animate. Let's turn off this for a second and save your work as well. Okay, what we can do is we can animate the glow here. For that, what we can do is we go to render effects and lens effect and we press the glow here. Glow intensity, you can animate this as well, size as well, but we'll animate the intensity. We press the auto key and turn this to 0. So when it's at 0, it's 0. So till here, let's say we can turn up to just 1. And when it comes here, we can just turn up the intensity to 140. So it comes here to 100 where the gun stops revolving. You can change this to, let's say, 120. And soon after that, of course, it dies. You can turn this to 0. And in the middle, of course, you can fluctuate it by changing the intensity to probably 120. In here, probably 150. Play around with it so you get good results. So in this way, you can animate your glow as well. And the last thing is, of course, we have done the particle system here. We go to particle system, we just turn it on. You can run it up to 300 if you like, or you can just run it up to 200, at the contact point of the explosion. So we just select NTSC DB, 720 by 480. You can choose a size that you like, to export it into After Effects. So click Active Segment and go to File, make a folder, and just save it in the location where you want to save, and save it as render. Click on it and bullets or whatever name you want to put, and go to save type as I would go for PNG and save it. Okay. And then just hit render. Once it's rendered, then I'll see you guys in After Effects.